All right, welcome. In this video, we are going to create our first lab on GNS3. This video is a part of a GNS3 labs for the CCNA series. In previous videos, I demonstrated how to install GNS3. I demonstrated how to use GNS3. And in this video, we're going to make our first lab. And really the idea is for those who haven't used GNS3 a whole lot to get started. And we're just going to create a basic topology. We're going to connect everything together. And then we're going to go through a number of the settings. We're going to show you how to look at information and really just how to start operating in GNS3. All right, and with that, we're just going to get straight out to the demonstration. All right, so here we are on GNS3. And for the first step is we're going to drag and drop a Ethernet switch that you see right here. This Ethernet switch comes by default on GNS3 and it is just a layer 2 switch. And it's going to choose where we want to deploy it, and we're always going to put it on the GNS3 VM. And then as the next step, I'm just going to drag and drop a number of devices onto the topology, and then we're going to connect them. All right, and then one thing that I always do in order to make everything look nice and clean is I always have snap to grid on. You can click the one beneath it that shows grid, and then it looks like that. I prefer just to have snap to grid on. Then you can make sure that everything will line up. And then I'm going to use the connector tool to connect all the devices to the layer 2 switch in the middle. And then as a next step, I'm going to click on the green arrow at the top and power all the devices on. And then after that, I'm going to click on this button also right next to the green arrow here. And this is going to open up Telnet console sessions to each of the devices. All right, another thing to note is that GNS3 will allow you to designate what Telnet client you want to use. And you can check this by going Edit, and then Preferences, and then Console Application right here. And this right here is what allows me to use my PuTTY application that I have installed on my computer. I think by default, if you go over here and click on Edit, it's going to have Solar PuTTY, which you can use just fine. So when you install GNS3, Solar PuTTY is what it uses by default. So I'll just click Cancel. So the next thing I wanted to point out is you can click on this button here to either hide or show the interface descriptions. I like to have them on there just so that you can plainly see what interface what is plugged into. It just makes it easier to figure out what's going on. In order to clean up the topology, you can just click directly on the text and then drag and drop where you want that to be. Yeah, so another thing to note is that you can change the icons that these come with. By default, when you import the viral or CML images, it's going to have a much longer template name that contains the version number and stuff like that. So I usually delete that out so that it's nice and clean. And the other thing is you can change the symbol that it uses. So as you can see right now, I've changed it to the classic symbol. So I right click on it, click Configure Template, and then you can change the symbol used by going right here and clicking Browse. Takes a second for it to load, and then you go down to the classic symbols, this top one here, and the classic symbols is going to be where the router symbol is that I picked, right? So that's what I changed everything to. But you also have this symbol here for multi-layer switches as well. And And then in order to see what version you have, since you changed the name to no longer contain the exact iOS version, if you need to see what iOS version it is, then you can click on HDD, then it's going to give you the exact disk image. So this is the one that I'm using, the 156-2T. Now you can see that I accidentally changed this to the multi-layer switch symbol, which I don't want, but we can just go change it. I'm just going to select router and click OK. OK. Now it's back to router. All right, so our next step is I'm going to configure IP addresses on all of these and just get everything pinging. All right, so as the next step, we're just going to go through the devices, look at the interfaces, and then assign IP addresses to all of them so that we can get everything pinging through that layer 2 switch. All right, so our first device is the Etherswitch Router. So I'm just going to hit enter. I'm going to hit conf T for a configured terminal. And then I'm going to do show IP interface brief. Do show IP int B, just like that. That's the abbreviated version of the command. That allows you to see all the interfaces on here. So one important thing to note is that this one has a number of different modules in it. So Fast Ethernet 0 and Fast Ethernet 01 are on a separate module from the serial interface that we have here. And then all of these ones that start with 1, the ones that start with 1 here, all these are switched ports because they are a part of a switch module. So those are layer 2 ports. And the ones that start with 0, so 00 and 01, these ones are routed ports. And you can see that the switched ports come by default in the up state, so you don't need to no shut them. Whereas the routed ports and the serial ports by default come administratively down, so you'll need to no shut those. And because we're going to assign an IP address to these ports, you just want to make sure that you're doing it on a routed port. So int FA, which is abbreviated for Fast Ethernet, takes you into that interface. All right, and then for the switch, we're going to need a couple more commands that we didn't need for the routers. First, I'm going to enable routing, the IP routing command. And then I'm going to enter the no switch port command. All right, now I'm going to do ping test. All right, so it just pinged itself. Now I'm going to start testing the other devices. All right, so you can see on the Etherswitch 1 here, we cannot ping 4. So this was the one that I configured with the IP address for, and we can see why. It's because I did not no shut that interface. So we'll no shut, turn that on, and now we'll try that same test again, and it gets there. So that's why. All right, and so now we can ping all the devices. And then real quick, we're just going to look at the layer 2 switch. So you can right click on it and click configure. As you can see, all 8 ports are in VLAN 1 and they're all configured as access ports. Now if you wanted to and you wanted to isolate traffic, you could reconfigure port 7. So I'll just click down and go to 7. And you could reconfigure that as VLAN 2 if you wanted to. And then click the add button and then it would change port 7. We don't currently have anything plugged into port 7, but if we did, it would now be in a different VLAN from the rest of them. Hit apply and OK. All right, so that's going to do it for this video. Hopefully that was a good introductory lab video. Got you guys started, got you guys in GNS3 and built this topology successfully. If you found it helpful, please consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video.